Good evening. Welcome to the City of Northfield Council Budget Workshop for February 23rd, 2023. This meeting has been properly advertised according to Public Law 1975, Chapter 231 in the Press of Atlantic City on Saturday, February 11th, 2023. I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Steve.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci, Mrs. Carfagno, Mr. Deweese,
Here.
Mr. Leeds,
Here.
Mr. Notaro,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Palestina,
Here.
Mayor Chow.
Here. Thank you. Okay. Here it is. If you look at the first page. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do the sum up. So the budget timeline is the first sheet. Page one is that same thing represented numerically. We have to introduce by March 31st, adopt by April 28th, the same thing has been expended. We do the COLA ordinance. We will be redoing that because of the snafu with the press. We are eligible for local examination, which means you don't have to wait for the division to give us the full stop this year because we're in good finance. And so I'll give you some good news, and we haven't talked about this in what, 12 years? All right, we had $9.8 million of added assessments this year. So Bill has been doing a great job getting stuff on the book. If you look on page 6 of your packet that I prepared for you all, you can see since we had the rebound on the book from 2010, we consistently lost between 9 and 13 when you're $15 million in assessed valuation because of tax shield. This year we increased 5.3 million. We spent about $52,000 in revenue, and we collected $267,000 in the added assessment in 2022. So that was quite beneficial. Tax collection rate was up. Bill has been going back through the books and comparing the permits with what has been on the book. And he's been adding them back. Remember, he spoke about that.
Yeah.
We met with the subcommittee and he went back 3 years to do the added amendments.
And that was in the tune of $260,000 in tax.
$267,000 we collected just from the added and omitted of the 9 million that he added, and we went back he went back 3 years. He's still finding things, so we'll probably see a little bit more of that. Not that big number. This is our big,
Wow.
our big number. But and what's helpful for that is that we do not pay the school that money that we collect, right? Just the county. But on the reverse side, when we were doing all the tax fields and refunding all that money, the schools didn't pick up the liability for that, the town did. For that problem. Our available surplus decreased 413,000, and you can see the history on page 5 there, and that was expected because we got the COVID money that we used, and we anticipated that in revenue in 2022, and we offset that with the smaller projects that we did. The garage doors in the fire department, the 800 radios, the walk behind mower for public works, the playgrounds, all those types of things. Document scanning, we're still working on the new HVAC system and the roof for City Hall. But we still have a very strong surplus position. Do we have news? So everybody knows workers' comp has increased, jail benefits have increased. That's primarily due to legislation that was passed during the pandemic, where the governor made all COVID cases presumptive. So it meant that anybody who got sick, they got sick at work, right? So workers' comp paid for workers' comp, health benefits paid when they went to the doctor to get sick, to get treatment when they were sick. So we have that going on. So We did receive $53,000 from the JIF as a dividend, which we applied to our premium, so our net increase is 12% there. Health insurance premiums for us were 13% overall increase, which was lower than the 22.8% blended rate, but early retirees were 13%. And Medicare retirees were 1.7. And we also lost some retirees this year, so we have some census changes as well. Person, CFRS, the pension, they went up quite a bit, 117,000. And we all know about the HUA, the tipping fees, the 7% there, it's tied to inflation and so on. And then our debt service, I put on page 7, so you can see where we stand for that. We have $8.8 million outstanding and 2.1 in unfunded ordinances. We'll do another ordinance or two to get to 4 or 5 million, and then we'll go for permanent financing for that. In the capital section, I put, just for discussion purposes, $25,000 in the capital improvement fund. Typically, we do 75,100, but we have 615,000 in there now, which gives us a bonding capacity of 12 million. We wouldn't want to pay for that, but we could. That's our down payment money. We're pay as you go. And instead, I moved $25,000 to facility improvements for 25, so we don't have to borrow money to do the smaller items. There's some minor building repairs, the football tower renovation that was requested, and the Little League field renovations for 20,000 that the council needs to determine if that's something we want to do.
Going with the, fire, suppression system in there as well.
I don't know about a fire suppression system, so no.
Let's talk to where this stuff. Let's talk about that. We're splitting hairs here. Where in the second one, next one. There's an issue with the question.
So what is included in this budget that was requested was $5,000 for economic development. 4% for non-aligned and volunteers, which is parity with the union. They received base increases and then the percentages on top. Request for fire overtime increase in the addition of 3 part-time firefighters in the fire department.
That in addition, 3 plus 1, and you gotta replace those for 4 or just 3 total?
3 total.
Okay.
I funded 3 total, that's the way I understood it. There was an increase for the fire volunteer salaries, and I include that in your worksheet as well. And some other things that we need to determine. So any questions on what's in this budget for finance? No. Excuse me, sorry, that was not on the agenda. Is what it's talking about? Resolution for.
First, the first one, when I thought of economic development,
hand out the fact sheet first. I was told to make sure I brought brochures and so forth. Here, we get these 2 for, actually all of these. Yeah. My name is Max Saltkirk. I'm with the Atlantic County Economic Alliance. I used to live here about 15 years ago for 10 years. So down on Bay Avenue, Bay Drive, and now reside in Summers Point. Kids are gone, so. Anyway, I was asked to come here and speak to you today, handing out different paraphernalia. There is a slide, which I see you got a full agenda and everybody's working. How you doing, Frank? That we'll take you through just what services we offer and what we do. Myself, I've been working economic development for the last 40 years. I actually was raised in this area. I was raised in Ocean City. And except the time I was in Navy or university, I've lived here my whole life. We were formed about 5-6 years ago from the Atlantic County Improvement Authority after we did a study looking at what we could do to try to improve the area. Consequently, we had a study that was produced about 120 pages. You may have heard of it. It's the Atlantic County Economic Development Study and Action Plan, Strategy and Action Plan. Hi, Mayor. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for attending, by the way. That which told us, yes, you need to go forward. Economic development, though it is not as popular here in New Jersey for some reasons that I won't even speculate. In other parts of the country, it's actually a standard part of government, or at least a standalone nonprofit like we are. So places like Texas, Nebraska, where they have to literally fight for every little bit of progress in their economy. So what our mission is to try to diversify the local economy. We're looking to create living wage jobs, bring in businesses that can help us expand beyond our traditional tourism product, which is a major driver of this area, and to diversify our economy so the next time a couple of casino hotels close, it doesn't turn into a mini depression for us. We all remember those times. They were very difficult. And they were also, in addition to Superstorm Sandy and the other storm before that, as they come and go. I know it wasn't Ian, but it was anyway. But there were several cases where we had bumps in the road over 15 years and created a lot of dislocation in this area. And it looks like we're slowly fighting our way back up to 4 feet. The type of work that we've been doing is working on the western edge, bringing in manufacturers, especially manufacturers, working at the airport where we are building the research park out there. We just broke ground on building 2. Building 1 is filled. We hope to be able to start putting the money together for building 3. And by the way, we're doing all of that with money we cobbled together from outside the county. So we're not using taxpayers' money on that. We are a private nonprofit entity. We are sponsored by the local business community. The people who put us together are people like Leo Schofer, who's a major developer in this area, and he's one of our emeritus members. He actually formed us. We have about 25 different large businesses that sponsor us. We have several different government entities, one of them, of course, being Atlantic County. We have several municipalities. And our ask tonight, to just cut to the chase, is we're going to ask if you want to become a member, $3,000, actually, not $5,000. And it's not a terrible lot of money in the scheme of things, a lot to you, because of course money is money. But the reason what we're trying to do is try to get our municipalities to join and become part of the organization. Now, you have initiatives that are going on right now. You've got a business association that's forming. You very intelligently put together the Economic Development Commission, which I support 100% to be able to get that input of the business community into municipal operations. And so that's a really good start. So what would be the value product of us coming in to Northfield? Well, we would, and you know, to be honest with you, we're not going to deny you. If you picked up the phone, Carolyn called me and said, look, we'd like you to come on over here, whether you're a mayor or not, a member or not, we're coming, okay, but we'll do it. Just, that's what we do, and we're not going to deny people because they're not members. But on the other hand, if we are members, I mean, we'll be just as inspired to come in here and help you in any capacity we can. Some of the things you might want to look at. Now, Northfield's a little bit different than a lot of communities. You're built out. You're built out a suburban community. But in the case where we've got a lot we can't seem to develop, like as an example, take Summers Point down Shore Road, those four residential properties right across from the apartments. I mean, that was something we actually were kind of involved in. I wouldn't say we drove it, but it was something where they created the redevelopment plan to redevelop those properties. That's something we get involved in. We work with a lot of redevelopment plans. The idea is to be able to create the incentive for the developer to come in and take out blight and put in development. So that's one of the big things we do with local communities. If we're big supporters of the business community, of course, because we're a business organization, economic development, but we also do support community development too. And if you would like to try to develop some of the aspects of, say, like a Hamilton, which has a very good community development program, I would encourage you to do that. And I'd be more than happy to help you and put together, make the connections with people who could help you put together a community development plan in addition to an economic development plan. Slightly different. Community development is beautification of your community. What I'm really impressed by with the focus group that we held with the business community was that they knew that. They caught on to that and they were saying, hey, we need to start looking at things like enforcing our laws, our property maintenance laws, because when this business person is not maintaining a property, it reflects poorly on me. Or we would like to try to get more sidewalks in if we can, which is something you look for grant funding to do that, because if we can get more foot traffic, it helps my business neighbor, it will help my business, because you have that continuity of traffic flow. More than happy to work with you on that. I am certain that you make your application for your municipal highway monies or road monies to do road improvements. I mean, we'd be happy to talk about that and make sure that you're maximizing that also. So there's different things that we can do to try to help make sure that we do have the maximum amount of irons in the fire so that we can make this community as robust as it can be. And whether you were a member or not, I will assist you with that. We would prefer you to be a member, because if you're a member, we think that you guys are our eyes and ears, boots on the ground, basically. What you do is you'll let me know, hopefully, we got a business leaving. We got a business thinking about coming in. Now, look, you guys don't have jobs, right? Or at least look, you have jobs. So maybe if you're lucky, you're one of the people who can be without. But for those who have jobs, you don't have 24/7 to be able to respond to business inquiries. It is my job. So when a business says that they're interested about coming here or coming any place in Atlantic County, I'm all over them. In fact, their biggest complaint with me is they got to shake me off like a dog that's attacked them, because I'm there. What do you want? What do you need? You need financing. You need somebody to go talk to the permitting office, make sure the permits are getting run expeditiously, that your construction can take place. So that's what we do. And because we focus it full time, I'm literally on my phone on a Saturday. I actually did 2 different things while I was just sitting here. But that's because I'm 100% dedicated to that particular function. I'd be more than happy to bring that to Northfield. Now, the reason why we say $3,000, I'll tell you how we came up with that number. It's based on your housing units, which is probably an interesting way of doing it. Our first municipal member was Egg Harbor Township, and I don't know why, but they came in at 15,000. So when they gave us that check, when we said, well, if other people want to come in, we don't want to do this where it's arbitrary and capricious. We just took the number of housing units, divided into 15,000, divided across those housing units, and that's how we came up with 3,000 for Northfield. So we just wanted to be equitable across communities. So if you're asking why that particular number, I won't repeat the materials. I know you got a busy night tonight. If you have any questions, any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would ask, regardless of what your decision is, and council members, that you please use us. If you hear of a business that's interesting in coming in, thinking about leaving, thinking about expanding, or maybe they can't. The state implemented a program. They implemented a program where, and I don't know how it works, because I haven't done it yet, but they are talking about being able to help reduce the cost of the business financing because of the increase in interest rates. So I'd be really interested in trying to see how that program works. And I'll be the first one to tell you, to be honest with you, we're not real big about a lot of the state programs because they're very difficult to manage and probably almost impossible for most small business people to work with. But we'd be more than happy to ride roughshod over them. to try to get those programs to pay off like they say they're going to. So if you know somebody wanted to do something, but it's 2 points too high to be able to finance, let me know. I'd be more than happy to go up to that office and start talking to people up there that we have an opportunity to see how well their program works. So, and that would be one particular example there. Oh, yes, sure. We did it for Summers Point. What I'm going to do, Carolyn, we're right now working on a grant to do business for business formations here locally for people who want to be entrepreneurs. So I've had my head in that. I wanted to send out the link that we did for Summers Point. And it's a business website. Well, actually, you know what? Probably would be just as applicable for school children who want to learn about their community. But what it is, it's not just with spreadsheets of information, it's interactive. This tags into things like Zillow for housing, houses that are on the market. So there's like a housing link. There's a business link that links back to the U.S. Department of Commerce that's updated continuously. There's a statistics link on there. There's a roadway link, and all of them are active and tied back into other databases so they continually update. And I think we put it together so it's very aesthetically pleasing. And actually, you guys are the next one on the list for that. So we've already talked about our performance marketing, which is people we use for publicity and for marketing, and they're already starting to work on that website, which I hopefully bring back to you guys and show you how interesting it is to push it out to your community, and then you can refer it to other businesses. Additionally, with our performance marketing, we also have a lobbyist up in Trenton. So if the city is trying to get something done and you're not getting traction, come talk to us about that. We might be able to see what we can do about having them go up there and talk to a few people and see if we can try to move a concept or an idea forward. So my president, Lauren Moore, worked for Lieutenant Governor Guadagno for 8 years. He was her right-hand person for economic development. So he ran a team of about 80 people throughout the state. And he did that for about 30 years in New Jersey. So, a lot of people in Trenton, has a lot of contacts at the highest level, all the different agencies, and we got a lot done that. We're very effective at kicking doors open. And of course, for the whole time, we're also very persistent. Is there anything else, Carolyn? Okay, thanks, guys. It's interesting. There's no real secret to this. People have been doing a lot of what you're starting to do right now for a while in certain places. Summers Point's a good example. Hamilton, I'm very proud to say that when I first started economic development in my late 20s, back in the 80s, when Hamilton was literally closing up, and then the Walmart came in, and they thought that was it. That town literally got up and said, we're gonna make a difference. We're gonna basically draw a line in the sand, and we're gonna keep the doors open. And they started back in '88, putting together their downtown plan and putting together all the different aspects of their community development plan and economic development plan that have made them what it is today. Hamilton is no mistake. Hamilton was deliberately done over the course of 35, 40 years. So they don't think that what is it they got that we don't got. What they have is a handful of engaged and interested citizens who said, if we work together, we can change things. And I was there when a guy named Matt Hinman, who owned an auto parts store, started it. He's passed away, God bless him, but what you see out there today started with 3 or 4 people. And now, go to one of their meetings, they got 30 or 40 who have come together to talk about how to make a difference in our community. So anyway, thank you. Does anybody else want a business card or? Good, okay.
I have it, because I go to significant other.
Greg works for my wife. Any questions? I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to go on to the next one. And thank you very much for hearing me out. No, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Carol. Yes, I will send you. Know what I'll do? I'll send you that link tonight. And you can go ahead and pass it out to everybody who's here. In fact, it's public information. So, yeah, thank you.
One thing, we did recently get the letter from the county regarding possibly is one fund for. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to help with it. Yeah. Okay. And you're,
Been involved in some sports, Melba.
okay,
They're just challenging because they're bringing so many different municipalities together.
Right.
It is a challenge because of the different requirements and collective bargaining agreements. Like pretty.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a process.
I know plans. Somebody's gotta give a little bit back. You know?
I don't think that would happen here.
Yeah, it was a nice blend. It didn't sound like it was something that we said. Yeah. Okay, so. The comment to go from now on, we typically put that in to try to match up some of the contracts, so. With this few in there, and there's other requests.
I wanted to mention about Boeing, we got the $10,000 planning grant. So that salary would be charged for that, we added for like last year.
Okay.
Right, so, the OEM coordinator was requesting an increase for, the amount of time that's 10%, but we would charge that to the grant.
To the grant,
For
okay.
personal. So, yeah, and then the fire department requested an increase for the volunteer, fire salary, and I'm just 10. I put that scheduled together, you can see the one that was requested in difference, that is what they requested, obviously, and the difference between what they requested and what they would receive was the 4%, over the 4%. Right, and that probably should be tied in with the second part of that, where, they also requested, an increase for the LoSAP contribution from $750 to $1,150, which would be about $12,000 increase. Typically, we have like 9 to 11 folks that qualify for that, and between 7 and 8, sometimes $9,000 a year on the, LoSAP qualifiers.
Yeah. Yeah, far right column is different. Okay, I got you. I see the difference. The 4 is the starting point, the normal starting point, and then requested. In reality, requested over 100%.
But, yeah, like, say for the first line there, 675 and then plus the 4,000. $1,200.
Yeah, a lot of,
We did, when we first prepared this budget, our former chief retired. And the new chief was, he came to see me after we had prepared all this, and he has a request for an additional, patrolman. And that is not included in the budget, but Mark is here to talk about his budget and some of the things that he's requested. We did have retirees of top earners in 2022. Where they do, benefit packages in retirement. The hope is that we could maybe replace some starting person as well.
yeah, personnel. So.
Thank you.
So excuse my ignorance, I'm new, obviously, and, you brought to my attention before the meeting that, you did not see a second lieutenant added into this.
Oh, yeah, no,
That was not requested.
Yeah.
Like the original,
So I apologize, but I was under the impression that it was requested due to the fact that would not withdrawn, but due to my former boss, Chief Newman, due to the fact that we had two acting lieutenants, up in, the administration, as well as we do now. In my opinion, and I'm holding this rank for the last several months, these, opinion or these, positions are absolutely crucial due to the added weight that, we now have, and all the responsibilities, with, patrol operations, internal affairs, open requests, special events, training, fleet management, investigations, asset forfeiture, backgrounds, property and evidence, public information officer, range instructors, crossing guards, outside vendor contracts, details, and patrol. That's a lot for one person to, or one lieutenant, for example, now as well as. In addition,
and then, as the council knows, the past 7 years, I had spoken, budget projecting, and he now, he referred to with rather critical mass. He lost top administration. With there's more and more work and demands that are being placed on various positions. To the extent that one, in this particular case, that he referred to, the one, and it just can't handle it, it's just too much. And if you want too much, and it's obviously that, and the runner of the department, so.
That's correct. Losing the people that we, have lost in a, small agency is very substantial. And like Dawn said, hopefully you see it the way that we see it. We've had lost several earners, and with those higher earners, we're able to bring lower, ranking officers in at much less salary, but we can add more personnel to the street. We are trying to rebuild the police department as best as we can. Like I said, there's continuously added responsibilities. And things are not slowing down. They are not getting, any easier. The responsibilities are growing, and the amount of time we spend with the public is growing as well as the more serious calls, as evidenced by my monthly reports to the mayor. So it is critical, trying to upgrade the police department operations. And as everybody in here has probably attended the JIF for the Mel, one of the number one litigious areas is supervision as well as training, especially for law enforcement, for all city personnel. So it is critical mass, and it is extremely important.
Yeah. Thought I mentioned you get some training this year.
Yes, so with Dawn's help, she broke this down for me. Chief Newman previously had approximately $4,000 in training, which I asked Dawn what would be an appropriate number to add. She helped me out, so we added, or we're requesting an extra $10,000. Usually for a training, especially for supervisory personnel, as you guys know, we have some promotions that are going to be upcoming and mandatory, those personnel will require several trainings. Each one of those classes is approximately $250. If you send 4 officers, that's $1,000 right out of the budget right there. So a lot of this training is necessary. It will prevent further litigation problems, if you will. And I do know for their knowledge and leadership.
The training or is it I mean, is that also ongoing training that?
No, so this is actually, there are some ongoing trainings, however, with these new positions being filled, these officers do need to attend all new supervision and leadership training. So that's basically where the brunt of the money would go.
And on top of the 4, was that 10?
Yes, so the $4,000, to be truthful with you, it's really been eaten up rather quickly due to the fact that I take responsibility. I'm the new chief. I'm going to the New Jersey State Chiefs of Police orientation. I'm allowed to take a second command. That's $1,100 right there. And then with the state chiefs of police training dues and the county chiefs and the application fees, that eats up another $1,000, which basically takes us down to less than $2,000 to train 23 personnel. And as I'm sure we all have been there, and we're all there every year with our continuous education credits and everything like that for our positions or jobs, this is very important. And this will definitely come out again next year, because January 1, 2024, all law enforcement officers have to get licensed. And you will be able to basically maintain these licenses and go to these classes and maintain these certifications. If you don't, you will lose your license and you will not allowed to be on patrol.
What's the cost of that?
That has yet to be determined. It was just brought up the day before yesterday in the chiefs of police. They're also adding.
Take up on you.
Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. So that requirements haven't come out yet, but they're also going to include PT tests for law enforcement officers. If you fail the PT test, you're not allowed on the road.
That's why that way.
Physical training.
It's the reason.
Physical fit.
The part that was computer and required.
Yes, yes. And some classes you'll, like teachers and everything, you'll have to take every year. Some you'll have to maintain within every 24 months. Some will be in person, some will be online.
And that, in this class, will be funded by the department?
That's where everything's going back on, just like firearms, like the mayor said earlier. Everything's going to be funded by the department. In fact, I mean, I'm scrambling to find money here because we have to purchase a new printer, a new color ID printer, because the county used to do it, and the Superior Court judges used to authorize the firearms ID cards. No longer. County doesn't want to do it anymore. The judges don't want to do it anymore. They pushed it back on the department. Everything's going to gravitate towards back to on the local departments, as well as I'm sure the cost. Well, the good news is, and I'll quote Dawn on this, the good news is that for CCWs, it's a $200 fee. 50 goes to New Jersey State Police, 150 goes to the agency. And that is basically for the lamination, the pictures for the people, and as well as for the printers or whatever software you need to basically generate their ID. So it's no longer done by the county. It's no longer done by Superior Court judges. Everything is falling per person. Yes, per applicant. So yes.
Yeah.
Or your card stock paper or your laminate.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the way it is. But this is the wave of the future, and as well as the police officers. I mean, I spoke with Councilman Palestina and CFO Stolenberg concerning manpower. Unfortunately, this is the way of the future with people, and the state's making it easier for officers to leave one department, go to another, or you're essentially paying for them, we're paying another department for them while they're in the police academy. If they choose to come, if they would rather work in Northfield as opposed to Atlantic City, or Northfield as opposed to the sheriff's department. And that is where we got our two newest hires. However, with your blessing, we got them rather quickly. But it would have, I think Dawn can verify this, it actually was a little bit of a cost savings, and we're able to put them on the roadway right away. Because if we hire them and put them through the academy, it would cost each approximately $20,000. But we were able to purchase their equipment and their already paid salaries from other municipalities. And with their blessing, those chiefs' blessings, they came. So Northfield doesn't have a bad reputation. We really didn't poach anybody without anybody's permission.
You did it with plants and stuff.
That's right. We didn't go behind anybody's back. We did it professionally, and we did the right thing. So,
Two questions. if I
Yeah.
may. Regarding training, are there any programs or grants available to for training?
so we're looking into that right now. We do a lot of our training on NJ Learn, which is free. Like our domestic violence training and so forth and so on. But I'm glad you brought that up, because there is continuously more and more and more training and more hours that you have to put in. I'm sure with your profession as well. And it just takes personnel off the street, because these are state required mandates that you follow in order to be in compliance. So you really don't have a choice. And next year, you definitely won't have a choice. You can't be late with your certification or your licensing, or passing these multitude of tests. So yeah, for manpower wise, they are tying our hands. It has to be done, and it's going to be required. So I'm not. I'm asking for additional patrolmen for traffic enforcement, which was what we've had before, due to the fact that we lost Lieutenant Dettinger and Chief Newman, and they were two top earners in the police department. I'm trying to be fiscally responsible. I know money's got to go other places. I'm not going to be greedy to any of my fellow department heads. However, just speaking from the police department perspective, that was roughly $300,000+ at which bringing entry-level officers in at $40,000 a person creates a cost savings, if you will. But then with respect to Dawn and her professionalism, she did point out to me that, there is pension contributions as well as benefits. And I did factor a lot of that in. And she counteracted a lot of the stuff that I said and did her job. Yeah. So absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question about that. But if you put someone through the academy anyway, that it's going to cost you either way. We just were able to get the people 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
So
And what is this, the traffic enforcement? What's that?
it's a traffic enforcement officer. He or she would basically be solely responsible for it. Traffic enforcement is a very large part of Northfield. We're always fielding calls for traffic safety, and details. In fact, there's litigation against us now for some traffic issues. So we're trying to basically modernize and make the department whole again. And actually, if you read the ordinance, I'm just also trying to bring the manpower back up to speed with what you folks passed in the law. So,
What's in the ordinance?
which is 24 personnel plus class twos. So, that would bring us back. That additional full-time officer would bring us back up to speed, and as well as the class two / code enforcement officer.
Would that be, how many officers would that bring us to?
24 full-time and 1 class, or a class two.
What is the average for the average police officer? How many police officers per?
That's a great question. It depends on how many people are in each individual. Municipality. So,
You say 1.5 per thousand.
yeah,
Per thousand.
Used to be, that was years ago.
And that's patrol. officers.
Right, that's not-
For management.
But that includes visitors, all the, so you get to school and have 1,200 kids in there, 1.5, 1,200 kids.
not including the Yale school.
Right. And all the
Well,
businesses.
I mean, our school, the community school would be, that would be sensitive.
Well, yeah, but you still have, with school choice, you have people from out of town.
Seems like it does anyway.
And one thing I want to echo what the chief said, and it's something I thought to the solicitor about, was our ordinance already said that we are supposed to have two lieutenants. So by not having, it, basically, cat them all, and then we just never know. We have to stop it. We change the ordinance, or we follow.
So,
Well, we just hired two, so currently that brings each squad back up to four, so we'll have 16.
But that includes full supervisor.
Right.
So we got 3 patrol as well.
okay,
And a supervisor.
and there's 4 squads.
Monday. The graduates tomorrow.
And how long do they feel?
3 months. Field training officer. So essentially, they're not allowed to. We have to go through field training and they have to rotate each squad for 1 month, spend 1 month with each squad with 3 different field training officers. That way you get an independent evaluation from each individual officer as to the qualifications of that field training officer or that trainee rather.
Probationary contract.
That's right. Well, our probationary time period is 1 year, but yes, it's a learning experience with each individual officer. 3 senior officers. But again, we're just trying to build the police department back up to where it was and come back up to speed with where we were. So, and I do consider, it imperative that for at least the responsibility of the second lieutenant's position. I would love to have the traffic officer. I understand we want to be fiscally responsible. But the other issue,
And then the traffic officer, everyone wanted squad. Or is that-
they wouldn't be assigned to a squad. It's a different like division of one, if you will, but they would be assigned primarily for traffic enforcement for the school or to go inspect details, detail setups, traffic control,
Okay.
so forth and so on. Traffic enforcement. Should I explain anything else?
So right now, the last truck that I saw last year,
The flow chart?
yeah, you have yourself, and you have a captain, and then you have 2 lieutenants. But your captain targeted that, right?
He is, yes,
And then he oversees the tech department, who's oversees 2 detectives.
yes.
A lot of supervisors, 2 officers.
Right.
And that's just,
Well, normally within each division, you should have a supervisor.
Right.
Like I said, the traffic, the captain oversees police operations, internal affairs, OPRA, special events, training, fleet, he does payroll.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot on
who
it.
do you plan to have him oversee your traffic officer?
The traffic officer would be one of the lieutenants, probably the patrol division commander. Since he's dressed in uniform. No, no, I do not. I think that's personally a wasted position.
Want to make sure.
Should I
Yeah.
explain anything else that we talked about?
Problems created by shortage of personnel, internal.
The problems.
Internal affairs. Something we only have 1 lieutenant right now.
So that's a great point. So yes, so right now, we have 1. No, we don't have any, well, we have 2 acting lieutenants And that is arguably the most important position that we have in the police department is in internal affairs. The captain is the only one that does it. He's the only one that's certified to do it and has the classes to do it. So I'm in the process now of, it's difficult because we haven't had a test yet, but we have to have a lieutenant to back up the captain because the captain is eligible to retire in November. So I'm trying to make this as seamless as possible and trying not to make it how we just walked into it. Meaning that we have a bunch of acting positions again, and we're right back where we were numerous years ago, which I think everybody here didn't want. But this is what we're stuck with right now, and this is what I'm trying to avoid. And fortunately, with the mayor's input and your input as well, we're trying to expedite this process. I did, I don't know if you got it, Mayor, I dropped my suggestion off in your mailbox in writing. About how to proceed with promotional policy, which will save the city probably at least $10,000. So yes, we are in limbo again, once again, and we're trying to navigate this as best as we can and get these positions filled and make them permanent again as soon as possible. So, but
Hopefully, the ground veterans won't be in limbo for years.
absolutely. But again, that internal affairs position is imperative, and the captain does have a number of, time on the books where he could go sooner if he chooses, and I don't want to be caught without an internal affairs officer. And somebody, a liaison to the prosecutor's office to investigate this and have complete transparency, which is actually what the Office of the Attorney General requires.
What if you don't have someone in what happened?
It would fall in the prosecutor's office until these promotions take place, and then they would give it back to the, right, as soon as those superior officers were trained. Right, exactly.
I'm sure there's a cost for that.
Should I go into the extras, the tracking or anything?
Well, I'm just gonna point out, it's one of the biggest increases in the budget. 66,000 when you go down the police O&A, and the chief is here, I wanted to address it while he was here, but if you'll recall, that we did have to reimburse 2 agencies for the officers that we just hired, that's 40,000. So the increase is 26. 11 of that is to replace the 2 in-car cameras, the training, weapons, and the cost of ammo has gone up as well.
Yes.
I think we hit the highlights there, but
Yeah.
that's what's driving that. increase. So when you go down and you look at it, you're like, whoa, but
Yeah.
most of it was reimbursing the other agencies, the new officers that we have now.
Yeah, the 2 officers last year. Payment, entry level salary, then cities paid their guy, what, $19 an hour?
13.
$13 an hour, where we've had to pay starting rate.
13, which again, Dawn calmed my nerves a little bit because I went to her due to the fact that we had an officer who was employed with Atlantic City resign prematurely because he was forced to by Atlantic City, which created, Atlantic City was paying him $13 an hour while in the academy. So I went to Dawn, I explained this. He actually ended up with a $5 an hour increase for the remainder of the month or so that he was in the academy, due to the fact that we picked him up. However, if we did not pick him up, he would have been dismissed by the academy and certification would be no good. We would have not been able to hire him. And we would be down one less officer again right now. So it would still save us a lot of money from putting somebody in the academy at $19 an hour, which is roughly our starting salary for 6 months.
Not only that, we're paying for them when they're in the academy, so we're not giving you for any service.
Right.
How much do they pay now?
For watch guard, 2 in-car cameras and installation is $11,700 for 2 cameras. Now I will tell you this, full transparency, we do have body worn cameras. However, you folks can decide, but this is where they're invaluable. I've spoken to business administrator from UC about this, due to, I don't know if I can mention it. But
I would
somebody
relate
gave,
Yeah, it's important to have the car because that watches the prisoner in the back when y'all.
Well, so that's, and well, not only that, but we're in a scenario now where it captured and severely helped the city. Because let's just say contractors failed to set up a proper work zone, which a body worn camera would not have captured that, because when you're sitting down behind a patrol car and it's on, it's staring at the steering wheel. It's not capturing what's going on through the windshield, what's going on behind you with the prisoner, or anything of that nature. So we were able to capture that the brunt of the litigation probably will go towards the contractor for not setting up the work zone properly, but it wouldn't have captured that if we didn't have the dash cam go. Also,
The dash cam is, the camera we're talking about, the dash cam as well.
yeah, so it
It goes both
it's
ways.
fixed in the windshield, but it goes towards the front of the car and towards the back of the car. Most importantly, it does capture the prisoner. So if they make any accusations, if they swallow anything, if they harm themselves, it dispels all of that. However, another advantageous part of it is we recently had a couple patrol cars rear-ended, causing injury to one subject. When you have a body worn camera on, it doesn't activate when the car is rear-ended or if you smash into somebody. The cameras that are mounted and fixed in the cars do, and will save time and litigation and with possible workman's comp issues. So that is another advantageous pro to have it.
That's two cameras.
That's two
How
cameras.
much advantage does it have?
We have a camera currently in every car. We have one camera that's down in car 6-8. So that Quinn can actually attest to, because Rob isn't able to fix it. He's been trying for. So due to the fact that that car is down, we can't operate it. So you have a car sitting there that the current, according to AG guidelines, can't be operated. And that's another reason. Yes, we do have the body worn cameras, but these are the risks that you run if you take that car out. If somebody gets rear-ended, it's not going to capture anything. And if that officer's injured or shooken up or in shock, they're not going to push the button on their chest to turn it on.
Brian, we try and replace you every year,
Yeah, absolutely.
and if we leave the car, we try and throw that all over.
So, well, like I said, I mean, I'm not an attorney or anything, but I can tell you right now, it's going to save the city money and something we're currently wrapped up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate your time and
Thank you.
thank you, Don, for your help.
Going with the request.
So, step one on the guide is 42, and probably need about 20 for the benefits. If we can only hire single people. But, we have. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Good point.
I'm kidding. So
That's for a single 20.
so this year, we could probably put it in without a significant increase, because we have the safe and secure money, and last year we didn't spend it because we had the officers died, in our service, which drops us below complement. Wait for state to get back to me and say, the money, we're planning on replacing, so that funding is still there, but this year's funding. It's an ongoing cost, we all know that for personnel. I'm gonna come in higher than half a year. 10, assuming the sergeant is promoted to lieutenant. That's just assumption on my part. I'm not
Well, yeah,
saying
the
one person is being promoted to the other.
yeah, the difference between patrol and a sergeant.
I don't know, so step 11 is 101, and a lieutenant 170. So that's a bigger gap, and sergeant's 108.
So,
Where are we in the best of? We found one?
yes, sir.
They are funded by, I think we'll be able to see them with minimal impact to this budget.
Okay.
Um. Same thing in police next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have an addition of a full-time officer, but we have 2 more part-time.
And I know it's not a guarantee because I hate to lose my captain. But it's all. No, you can't probably factor that in as a definite, but that is coming up.
Yeah, it seems like, we're to the higher than.
Yes, that's
Going,
exactly right.
going multiple.
And myself, I was hired with 4 people in a group on a grant 24 years ago. So yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm trying to look towards the future.
Yeah.
And future plan because within the next 4.5 years, we have 7 people. That can
That'll be eligible.
That is very detrimental. This. 30, right now it's like 30%. And you're gonna have a lot of senior leadership positions on. That's why this is occurring. And you're right, you're absolutely 100% right. It's waves because we're all hired 3 to 5 at a time.
Years.
$1.5 revenue.
On the front, not included. Yeah.
Could take us to 2, but I think I can move some things around. Once there's there's things in here that are, waiting on your decisions and those such things. I can cover. Maybe this is an easy one. Paying any contribution for 11,000 is not in there. The reason it's not in there is because you said every year you want to take.
That's right.
So I need to.
100%.
For this.
We made that decision, we're done last year. No, that's not how it is. We made the decision to discuss the budget meeting. And that if we were going to do it, we would straw vote. Yes. Yeah. It goes to the program, the operations, the donation to the program. So, all the costs. Every cost. There's no. I think it's a good investment in the town, actually. It's similar to the $3,000. Similar.
You give it as a contribution.
It helps. It's gonna bring people to the town. It will bring people to the town, because people come here for the program. You know, so, like I said, it's up to the council, it's up to the council, you know. Totally up to you. Get that on the get. You know, they come here for the sports program, they come here for the community, they come here for the Little League, they come here for the school. They come here for I suggested it last year, but Little League didn't want it, so. Yeah, stroke, period, end of story, that's what it is. We can stroll forward, we can stroll forward both ways. We gave them $11,000. Yeah. Year to year. That was discussed, yeah, it's discussed every year. They're doing well, they're doing very well, we do have a lot of cost, like I said, it's just up to council to decide.
It's all new. I just wanna, I mean, I just wanna know, like, so what is, they have their own fundraiser, right?
They do.
And they also get money from people. To different.
That's correct. Correct. That's in addition to all.
We don't care what.
We don't care what, it's a donation. Thank you. Coming in.
I don't really think that for the sports groups, the municipality requires that they apply to use our tools like any other group. Therefore, they are required to insure themselves. This is a donation made to fans that whether they use it on insurance or not, I'm not certain, but they can use it for any purpose they want once we give them the money.
Correct. You know, certainly these teams started that years ago when the city quote unquote paid them.
There was a decision made several years ago that prohibited them from being covered under our insurance company. And that was part of, like Councilman Smith said, their attempts to become independent. Some changes to the law with regard to civil liability forced most of the people in this room to move to a field model. Which they're not conducting groups on behalf of the council. They're conducting groups on behalf of the citizens.
It was on the budget. We- Older than 200 children. Baseball, softball, Linwood. Talk about Linwood. Linwood handles their entire sports program, so they. The cost, this cost is very minimal for what they're volunteering. Okay, that's the growth, yeah. And they don't fund this. Yeah, I'm getting funded back, city funds their point, I believe so. They instituted, user fees this year. Yeah. They do have to be put in the first, for the first time. Any suggestions on different numbers? What's the impact?
$1,000 depending on our rate.
I guess my question is still. What are their internal? Well, their internal, are they anticipating getting it? No, they're anticipating they're anticipating our decision. I was sitting in front of them, Mary, trying to draft a letter and send a letter off to them. Could be yea or nay. Well, I would admit that definitely not doing anything to move. There's the same argument is, people are moving into Northfield because of baseball. Because of, I get this, I supported, you support all line, 30-some years. $10,000, $11,000, it's something we need to start taking away. And it's a very, I think we need to face the other organization now, that we're doing this one. That's very important, and document. But I'm not agree with anything to the new publication, based on the board. We did have, I think, $3,000 in for Little League, but thinking about doing, was it, I think it was free? I don't even know, Little League is not my department.
Yeah, it's like one of those things.
They want to refuse to put it.
Well, yeah, no, they, refuse to donate. They specifically asked the council why it's not for the money. And I'm not trying to say literally should have, they should have.
Yeah, well, they should have.
We're talking $11,000 into our use. I mean, it's not like they're taking this, take cruises and stuff like that.
I mean, if you want to take it out, it's a tax bill, I'm.
Right.
That's very, and the building, the different one.
All they go to donate $100. I'm in favor of splitting it. We're sharing with both.
Do, 2,500 per sport. They do 3 sports, one sport.
I think that's investment back in growth.
If that's what the majority of council wants to do. They still get something, they'll get something.
So literally,
I think children play all.
they had softball was also 5,000.
No, baseball and softball is one sport, it's one time a year. I mean, they do have fall ball and, but it's. Fall ball is very limited. This is going to be, the donation, So 3,000 per sport? Like. Go to the whole thing? Okay. Well, I'm in favor of King Solomon. Why did we?
I think they're considering baby part people. Is that correct?
I was wondering if they, when you have. They do this every year, they don't. They're one team.
Yeah, what did we decide?
I can get 2,500 for, 2,500 for Lee, 7,500 for Dan. Brian. Brian was good with that. Yes. We've had 10,000. We're 10. We got 1,000. We got to need. Okay.
Communicate to the group that they're getting 7,500.
I will, for sure. So are we all in agreement? Are we all in agreement? I think we have a majority. Are you okay with it? Yeah, I think actually you didn't voice your, yeah. So we really don't. We have a no, we have, and 3 yes. And a no. 2 no's. 2 no's, 3 yes. And Dave wants more, and. You know, you sit next to Brian.
I know. I don't know. I think that the donation thing is just ridiculous because everybody else is raising their own money. I don't- They have to have their own insurance and get your own insurance, literally get their own insurance, everybody raises their own snack bar, everybody has their own fees, I just don't understand. where it goes.
It goes to the program. It's not anymore. It's not earmarked, so whatever they get. They spend it on.
I
sports,
understand
they
it.
spend it on first, and they spend their money on uniform, and if they spend.
I understand it's not a lot, but if taxpayers know that it we're making a donation, they're still paying their. So, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, it's a discussion we have everybody. So, you're not. Well, that's the 75, I'm going to the fees, but. It's one way to pay. Right. So, I mean, you know, I remember. We got to know, and Dave just said he wanted more, so. Gonna get that together. Okay. So. 4 yes.
And we have points because I'm very confused right now.
Brian,
Steve?
no,
No. Mr. Palladino?
yes.
Mr. Smith?
And that was for 2,500 for Olympic and 7,500 for Pam, yeah?
And I'm a yes.
And Mrs. Carfagna was a no? No. So that is correct. It was 4 in the affirmative. Sorry.
Yeah. 2017.
All right,
What else do we need to square away with?
well. Did you want to make a decision on the fire department on the teacher here with the low cost and the volunteer salary?
Yeah. Dawn, improvement to this fire suppression system, there was a email sent for budgetary purposes to Kathy.
And how is the company? Back it down.
The raise for the LoSAP, we believe is long overdue. That hasn't been raised since its inception. I believe it was 20 or 21 years ago. There should also be a cost of living possibly involved in that every year for the past 20 years. The salaries, we have a lot more demands on the officers now. There's a lot more time spent in training. We just received notification that the officers need, what is it then, another 24 hours of training that we all have to attend. On top of the regular training we do every year, we train monthly. If you look at some of the other departments, people in a similar position are getting the same or more than what was requested. What is the, for LoSAP, what's the requirement to make LoSAP? There's 5 different categories. You have to score 100 points in each category for a total of 500. Meetings, drills, emergency responses, non-emergent responses, and I don't remember what the 5th one was. That's a very tight program. It's not just given to anybody. There's not a lot of people that are paying the numbers that are required. Length of service award program. That's a fund that the city pays into. Once you become vested after 5 years of attaining a certain percentage of calls, the money becomes theirs. If they don't attain that, it goes back to the city. And it's sort of a retirement fund for the volunteers.
It's a deferred compensation.
That one.
It's that by, decision of council, sometime in the $50 year now, and that's for inflation, they want to get more oil and stuff, and then around the 100. It depends, here.
For volunteer. We're gonna go with the minute that you're requesting. I just requested to have it raised. Yes, we are requesting the full amount that we're authorized. Well, the total estimated to be 12,000.
What are we paying now?
How many people are in the Dawn said 7 to 9, depending on the percentages.
So 400 times 9 is 3,600.
That would be,
That's the increase.
right. It's dependent
Right.
on.
On average, it's 7 and 5.
Mhm.
It's not easy to meet the requirements.
Yeah. And that also helps us recruit volunteers, which is becoming more difficult all the time. Well. Anything else?
You could also ask us about what the volunteer position for the administrative staff. What percent would be 17.4% of the request given to
Mhm. There hasn't been a significant raise in that, in many years. There are other departments in the city that are. Their deputies are making more than, our lieutenants are. Significantly more, and that was one of the reasons, but the increased training, the increased responsibility, the increased liability. These people are taking command of the fire scene. If anything happens, they have a responsibility for the firefighters and the citizens and everybody else in us, and doing a lot for very little. That's the volunteer side, but
They're joining other towns.
yes,
Now go to that part.
when the neighboring town started a pay to call program, we did lose a few people to that. And the volunteers in that town, if they have a busy year, are making more than the chief is making here. Actually, in one day when we had a storm, they made more than I do in a year in one day.
One thing I will say that I've noticed from my OEM standpoint is, this is the hardest working volunteer chief I've ever seen in my life. So he has to handle when the captain has an issue with the fire department, he has to call the chief for resolution. So he does that in addition to volunteer guys. And just- But I looked at what he made, I was like, I said, I wouldn't get out that, never, that for OEM for nothing. There's a lot. But the council decide what they feel that's worth, but if we have to pay a full-time chief,
That'd be at least 25,000 a year.
I don't know.
Any other questions? Right, thank you.
Thanks.
And I guess everyone was in favor of the additional 2 part-time employees in the paid fire department. And 1 part-time position now that's filled. We had 2 last year. 1 was promoted to full-time.
Right, Danny, 3 questions. We want to replace the one that was promoted to a full-time, and we would like to add 2 more to help reduce the overtime. Yeah, I think you need it.
That's in there, yeah.
And then
I just wanted to point that out.
we're not increasing the hours, shifts, we're increasing manpower to cover shifts. Correct. If we have 5 or 9 people available, we have a lot better of a chance one of those can cover a shift without having to get overtime. That makes sense. Yeah, I had to get that from last year as well.
Yeah. And you don't pay when they're here.
I think that we're agreeing with that.
It wouldn't have been much bigger. We just have, we could work on it. On legal, yeah.
Where we had, when we did some of what we're doing. We did with $10,000. That's just like.
I was on the, you know, that's only 3 part-time when you're not 5.
Without any,
So I have to fix that.
but it's still not. It's not. It's budget,
It's not crazy.
budget neutral, like, that would work, like, a call.
So we have to pay them.
Well, but
It's about 800. Instead of a career day.
yeah.
This is in the available, this is increase the amount of the money.
I believe it was 21 years ago.
Oh, I mean. We have, I sent an email in regards to, maybe,
Anybody wants, they can't see you.
The stipends for the 2 guys with the tanker. It's $1,000 per employee. For the endorsement, we have 2 people that have the license, the endorsement.
Okay.
Anything else I requested, I didn't see in the paperwork, so. That's not gonna come up. Darren Boyd's position is acting, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You want to speak about filling position?
Yes,
You can say a position.
we have an acting position that needs to be filled.
I believe what you mean is you want to fill the supervisor, correct?
Correct.
Got it.
So that needs to be hopefully done sometime soon as well.
And that position is now vacant, it's been vacant since November.
Yes.
It's not an addition.
And it's not that, do we have a supervisor?
Yeah, because if there's an acting person getting the same pay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
You got some requests, other requests that part. Did I hear them?
Yeah.
Did you say any requests that weren't ended?
Yeah, I requested an increase with the silver stipend license. I request it every year. It's underpaid considering we messed up to every other municipality. Underpaid by probably 70%. All the other requests from the other departments, and I did request it, but.
You look on sheet 10. The sewer operator stipend there.
Okay.
$36,1100.
That's the 4% increase.
That's 4%, and then you requested in writing.
Well, I presented, stipend from neighboring town, they generally 10 to 12,000 for the stipend. I requested the stipend every year
Did you request a certain amount?
verbally. I verbally spoke to you about it.
Yes, we can talk about it. I'll talk to. Not attending. Yeah. And then you got.
Do 2 years of Rutgers, you gotta take 2 state tests, and you gotta do continuing
Credit.
education. Credits. So it's not like something just.
Who pays the cost of the continuing education?
Well, all the classes we go to generally are free. So the CPWN, certification is paid for by.
And if there is a cost of courses.
Yeah, we have a flat.
Wait, question for you, the possible promotion to the assistant supervisor, does that person have to have a public works?
And how can it be supervisor, not?
I'm sorry. I'm correct. the supervisor.
It's stipends for one. The other stipend with the tanker endorsement of the new Vector truck we have is in the union, is in the contract. That's a separate stipend.
Forgive me, but that's not a budget, you have to do that.
Yeah, that's in the budget.
Yeah.
We don't have.
So you're saying not an assistant.
Correct.
No, supervisor retired and there's somebody acting right. We don't have assistant supervisor on this one.
Okay.
There's no assistant. The supervisor is the only other level.
We've just been doing the duties.
Well, we talked about putting $50,000 into facilities improvements, which is a line item we typically will put in like capital ordinance or something we do, but we have some smaller things that really don't make a whole lot of sense to bond. So instead of putting that extra money in the capital improvement fund, like I said earlier, we would use that to pay for these smaller things, and there were some requests for, the football tower renovation was $7,700, and the Little League field renovation was $28,000. And then we would also do any of the minor repairs that happen, through the year.
We have a couple, things, one at the baseball field, we have some fences that are in state of disrepair, that for safety reasons need to be replaced. And I've got the rough estimate, about $30,000 for all that fencing out there. In addition to that, The fence behind City Hall needs to be replaced, and I got a quote about 25,000 for the.
Not that bad.
The fence, you know, further out back in. The wood fence.
Wood fence?
Oh, yeah. It's
Okay,
actually,
Seems like a
Great.
lot.
it's actually 20,000.
Everybody who did bids from last year, I'm sure it's up a little bit. Looking around, I think it's closer to 15.
Okay, well,
Could be a little higher.
I think 20.
Thank you, the annual stuff around for that one. Hank gets good prices.
Oh, that was all.
It's all the fence. Right?
Yes.
620.
City Hall.
City Hall.
30.
Baseball is,
50.
yeah, 30.
So
50 total.
Yeah.
20, right?
No, it's
Slowly.
close. That's the 2 foot.
Got 3 foot. There's 3 foot.
By the time you come around, it's got to go together, it'll be 6 months old.
For the baseball field, we got three of them.
No. but
That's what I'm talking about.
we'll get there for time.
Well, if you wanna do both together, I could get purchase, so then the limit would be 44,000. It's over 44,000.
Okay.
Probably be more of a capital item. We could probably do with an ordinance, like a capital improvement ordinance, we still wouldn't have to borrow the money to do it, we would just take it out and 600,000, we have set aside for smaller projects. That's when we wanna do it. I don't have a capital plan prepared for this meeting. When I send it out and I ask the department heads for their wish list for 5 years. And then I send it out the next year, and then all the things they asked for like year 1 are gone, and new things come in year 2. So I'm trying to square that all up, and I'll have to get it for next meeting.
Right.
I just want to remind everyone that for the next meeting, it's the planning board night, so we don't have a lot of unlimited time, we do need to be finished by 6:30.
So, and in general, in general, the 1.5% tax increase is palatable to everyone.
I'm sorry, what?
1.5% tax increase is palatable to everyone.
I think that, you know, it's right on the phone. It's not really good, but it's.
What happens if you do 4 or 5 years of 0, 0, 0? Okay.
Yeah, I think we should have did a 0.5%.
Well, we kept it, we did what we had. I don't know that we, I'm gonna be doing now at this time.
So we take it home and we.
If you look on page 6, you can see the local tax increases.
Yeah.
2019, it was essentially flat.
I think that's right, it's good.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And we can do that.
So, for field, I've had that number a little bit, pieces that have to be replaced, not just, yeah, so. I'm sure we can work with you and contract with the Peter Markle, this is plus better than but there's other fences that need to be, fixed. A lot of gates that need to be repaired as well. That's it.
The library tax is set by the state library. So we follow what they do, and it's based on our assessment. So there's a minimum millage that you have to levy for your own library. And that is our minimum tax amount for a supportive library.
Would this be different if?
The library, it would just be in the county, it would be in the county tax, it wouldn't be in our budget. But the millage would be the same, there's still a minimum.
And the surplus would belong to the county.
Do we rent the space? Make one off of it?
They wanted us to give us to them. And we haven't appropriated any surplus for the library.
Yeah, no, I mean, what's in their surplus.
Right.
I don't mean, I'm not giving it back. No.
Moriarty law.
Yeah.
Often.
And it's not normal for them to give back to the city surplus unless they have an exuberant amount.
Statute says every requirement.
Over a certain amount, you have. to.
Right.
It's not appropriated in their capital improvement plan. It has to automatically be
Spend it or not, right.
It's over 55,000, we think.
It's in that.
They had a lot of things. So I think you got 200,000.
In their audit after this year.
Do we get whatever?
Yes.
So if they have 50, if they have 100,000 in surplus, they have to give back 45,000.
Unless they set it aside.
For something else.
improvement. Put it in a reserve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
I don't know. Probably.
that's an improvement, yeah. It improves their capital.
Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
That's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Is that to have someone?
Well, talk about.
I mean, that's like.
renting out, investing in-
Invest in,
Upgrading the kitchen.
Yeah.
Kitchen,
well, there is no kitchen in there. is there?
right. It's a, yeah, right. It's a.
It's saying, nothing, it's saying you can heat things up. It's cooking.
You might-
Saying the right way.
Cooking facility, if you're gonna have a.
You need it.
Maybe you can sell.
And then you're thinking to rent it to somebody as like a
Yeah.
restaurant, some like, burger place or something.
Whoever.
Yeah, whatever.
Do we rent space out?
It's not a bad idea.
Could offer like a food truck to come and park that day and pay the city probably not. But then, oh, we want.
Okay.
We discussed, amending our ordinance to permit food trucks in the park. We haven't really had any movement on that, but we do need to set some guidelines because we had an inquiry recently of a gentleman who wanted to sell mobile seats, Jonah, or Jonah. Was there a seat? Oh, yeah, he wanted to go with the second floor, yeah. First of all, we don't have any rules, but generally speaking, we don't permit soliciting on public city property, so that's what keeps them out.
Mhm.
So you should really get some thought to making some rules so that we're ready when somebody approaches. we can go, "Yeah, we can decide so."
Get some kind of permit or something, vendor,
I think that
they
would be-
qualify,
I think something
they
like
gotta
that would be
beef it
more-
out.
We're going 50% food trucks.
Things like that might work better than trying to upgrade the building to do that as a new space. Upgrade. So we got that fun and cost.
Yeah, and then,
You know, you don't inside the roof and taking it. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, I mean,
or you could,
you center, clean center.
you could see if you could get somebody to rent it. Contingent upon upgrades, or see what they, you know, you might get somebody to come in and say, hey, I just want to rent it. You know, we'll do the upgrades, or we'll do, you know. So there, you may want to advertise for that as well. But that may,
We did that several years ago.
I mean, camping, we did.
Yeah. that was part of, it. Yeah, it was an all-in thing. So that may be enough to see what you get.
As
I mean, Mary's right, if you upgrade it, it's gonna be more appealing to the right person. But, you know, business people don't really see it for that. They're gonna say, well, I can do this and I can do that, I can do this, as long as they let.
Carol, is that something that Mr. Flusher could point us in the right direction for?
Yeah, there you go.
all right. Really. So, something on the road line. If we're doing something other upgrades there. At the park, that would make sense, that should have something else on. Thank you for the time here, so you step forward. And you step forward the rest. Seeing no one else, we can have for our next county, our next budget workshop is March 7th. Meeting March 7th, 6 p.m. work session, we regular meeting following. And then March 9th, we have another budget work session at 4:30, which is EDA.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Favor.
Right. Give me your video.
I have a good.